Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Hakuouki Demon of the Fleeting Blossom. We are on Hajime Saito's route. We were just out here on a mission, covertly delivering him a message. And we're just about to return home, so let's see if that's uneventful or not. You can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story.
We've been out here too long. It's time you return to the Shinsengumi, and I return to Miura.
Oh, okay. Without warning, he turned, walked to an empty section of the road, and stopped.
Yamazaki, Shimada, you're there, right?
I knew he would notice, but why'd you have to expose them in front of me? Huh?
The sun's gone down. If you stick to the shadows, you're going to put her at risk.
Ah.
Just escort her personally.
But you're not sparing my feelings this way. I thought Hijikata trusted me, but now I know he gave me escorts.
Understood.
Why are you two here?
Orders from Hijikata. Why else? Of course. How long have you known? Since you got here. I've done your job plenty of times, you know. I see. We've stayed too long. You better move.
I called out to Saito one last time as he headed back toward the Tenma Inn. Good luck. And please, don't die. The last part I whispered under my breath. It was hardly something he would have cared to hear, but I meant every word of it.
Be safe.
Aww. For a moment, I thought I saw a smile cross his face. With Saito gone, we turned and made our way back toward the Shinsengumi. The Shinsengumi, once solid, now wavered. Oh, skipping time. On November 9th, 1867, the shogunate abdicated rule of Japan to the emperor and the imperial court. The Tokugawa resigned their position in the government, and with that the shogunate was essentially eliminated. On January 16th, 1968, retainers of the Satsuma domain who'd heard about the restoration of imperial rule gathered in Kyoto. In an effort to counter their presence, the Shinsengumi was assigned to the defense of the Fushimi magistrate's office. Then, only 2 days later, Kondo was shot while on his way back from a conference with the leaders of the old shogunate army. By the 20th, Kondo had been sent to Osaka to recover from his injury under the care of Dr. Matsumoto, along with Okita, whose illness seemed to have taken a turn for the worse. Worried as we were about Kondo and Okita, the rest of the Shinsengumi remained in Kyoto to keep a close watch on the movements of the Satsuma. We encountered them in a number of skirmishes, but in large part we were able to welcome the new year unharmed. January 27th. I was busying myself in the compound around the time the men began to return from their patrols.
Hey, we're back. Looks like Kyoto's winters are rough as ever.
Oh, welcome back, guys.
Oh, I'm getting real tired of those Satsuma bastards. We ought to be sitting in a nice warm room getting drunk, not out here stamping out fires. You know, I haven't even gotten any zoni this year.
He continued muttering angrily to himself as he pulled off his coat and hung it up.
Oh, Nagakura, you haven't stopped talking about the zoni once all day. Well, can you think of anything better to do during New Year's than eat mochi and sleep? Or maybe, do you think Satsuma doesn't celebrate New Year's?
How was it out there?
There are no serious problems, for now.
I see. I had no idea what might happen in the days to come, but I thought it would be nice to at least enjoy the New Year's festivities in peace. I just let out a small sigh of relief when a noise like a small thunderclap sounded from somewhere outside the compound. Ah, gunfire.
What the hell? That was gunfire, wasn't it?
Unless it's firecrackers. The earlier good humor evaporated, and every face in the room turned toward the source of the sound, tense and serious.
So, it's finally started, huh?
That gunshot was the beginning of what would later become known as the Battle of Toba Fushimi. We later learned that the Satsuma had opened fire on the shogunate soldiers attempting to enter Kyoto, but at the same time we heard it, we knew nothing.
Who do you think fired that shot? I should go out there.
Calm down. We won't do anything until the commander returns. Understood? Fine, but someone needs to tell the rest of the men. Might as well be me, unless...
Unless what? Why'd he say that? Saito nodded and Harada ran off. Within moments, the atmosphere in the magistrate's office changed. What should I do? It didn't feel right just to stand around. Saito turned to look at me when I spoke.
Well, you should probably...
Then it happened. Eee! A deafening explosion tore through the air, and the building itself shook. It was no gunshot this time. Cannons?
What the hell was that? It wasn't an earthquake, was it? No, it couldn't have been. But that means...
Saito and Nagakura looked at one another, then ran off out the door of the building.
So what's going on? What the hell?
I could hear their voices outside. What was going on? Ah! A cluster of shots rang out and I jumped. Saito returned, his placid face even more stern than usual. Oh, Saito, what's going on?
There's a cannon in the Ryuin temple. It has to be the Satsuma.
A cannon? No! Eee! The wall shook again as the cannon's thunderous rapport tore through the air.
Damn it, if this keeps up, we're toast.
He swore in frustration.
Can't we just go over there and take their cannon, Shibachi?
Maybe, but it'll be tough. They've got small arms too, a lot of them.
Ah! Each shot still made me jump as it slammed into the building. Isn't there some way we can make them stop shooting at us? I mean, couldn't we shoot back at them with a cannon or something? It was a foolish idea and I knew it, but I felt so useless just standing around and screaming. I had to do something. Saito's glance fell on me, and one of his eyebrows twitched in what might have been surprise.
We do have a cannon, yes.
Well, then can't we shoot at them?
Yes, but it won't be very effective.
Why not?
They've set themselves up on high ground. If we fire from down here, we'd be lucky to reach them. Besides, Ryuin is surrounded by forest. The trees are a natural shield.
Oh no. Then there was nothing we could do? We just had to sit here and let them attack us? That was when Shimada ran in.
We're in trouble. The Satsuma are trying to surround the magistrate's office.
Saito sucked at his teeth, and I could see his mind working furiously, searching for a solution.
Building's taken a lot of punishment. They keep this bombardment up and it's all coming down.
Hijikata appeared short of breath, and wearing his headguard and Shinsengumi uniform. Hijikata!
Kondo put me in charge when he left, and I think he wanted us to still be around when he came back. We're going to counterattack.
His words sent the magistrate's office into a frenzy.
Finally! It's about goddamn time. I've been getting real tired of just sitting around while they shoot at us. Hard to feel like a man that way.
Alright, what's the plan? We gonna shoot him with our cannon?
No point shooting from here. We're gonna have to take it up to the front line. When we get lucky, maybe we can take their cannon while we're at it.
That's more like it.
Let's do this. Those Satsuma punks better watch out.
They all seemed more than ready to fight and win, but something still worried me. Saito? How many men do they have? If you can take their cannon, will we win?
Our side has nearly 15,000 men. From what I understand, the Satsuma and Choshu have only a third of that, at most.
Then we can't lose, right? Saito's mouth thinned to a tight line, and he looked at me for a moment before he answered.
One cannot always achieve victory through force of arms.
I was about to ask him what he meant when Hijikata began to call out orders.
Don't let those honorless bastards out there put even a foot inside this building. Stay calm, and we can beat them. Gen, you'll stay here. I'll be taking the rest of our men and going after their headquarters.
What, him by himself?
No problem, Toshi. Just leave it to me.
He nodded and trotted off toward the entrance.
Our best intelligence puts the enemy's headquarters at Gokonomiya Shrine. Unfortunately, between us and them is a big hill, and they've got a bunch of guns dug in at the top of it. They'll pick us off as we climb up. There's only one way we're breaking through.
Hijikata's voice trailed off, but all the men around him seemed to understand what the silence implied. If they were to win, they would have to thrust their forces into the heart of the enemy encampment, and that would mean running straight up into a line of gunfire. The men who left to go on the attack would be facing a good deal more danger than those left at the magistrate's office. There was a moment of silence before Nagakura fixed Hijikata with a confident look and spoke.
Sure thing, Commander. I can take care of that. Are you sure, Nagakura?
His surprise gave way almost immediately to solemnity.
Well, someone's gotta do it, right? Might as well be me. It's better than sitting around here and getting pounded at least.
He gave Hijikata a grin, then turned to his men in the 2nd Division.
Sorry guys, but it looks like our captain just volunteered to get us all shot to hell. But hey, at least we'll go off to the next life together. What are you apologizing for, Captain Nagakura? I'm a samurai. I'm always prepared to give my life for victory.
Shimada spoke up without hesitation. Saito looked up as Shimada spoke. Was something wrong? I thought perhaps he looked as if he wanted to say something, but it could have just as easily been my imagination.
Alright, the 2nd Division will be leading our main thrust against their encampment. I want you to attack Gokunomiya Shrine.
No sweat. You just leave that to us. It'll take more than a couple Satsuma bullets to kill Shinpachi Nagakura.
Well, when you go in, the 10th Division will be there to support you. So don't worry about your flank, alright?
We're off then.
With grins and more playful banter, Nagakura, Shimada, and Harada sauntered outside and out of sight. I saw a muscle in Hijikata's jaw twitch as he watched them go. Then he turned toward the rest of us.
Saito, take your men and head for Ryuin Temple. We're screwed unless you can silence that cannon. Understood.
His voice was as flat and measured as ever. Whatever he might be thinking, it was impossible for me to guess. Hijikata, what should I do?
Stay here. There's no guarantee you'll come out alive if you follow us into battle.
Oh. He turned on his heel without so much as a goodbye and headed for Ryuin Temple. It wasn't going to be an easy fight. Would they even return alive? This was the first time the Shinsengumi had fought such a large force, as well as the first time they faced guns and cannons. I believed in their skill, but I couldn't help feeling a certain amount of trepidation. With little else to do, I fell to praying for their safety and lost myself to my worries. I don't know how much time passed before I felt a hand on my shoulder.
Oh, are you alright, Yukimura? You look down.
Oh, Inoue.
Oh, are you worried?
Yes. I know they're soldiers. They've been in danger before, but this is different. There's all those guns out there, and a cannon. I'm scared some of them might not come back.
You don't need to worry. They'll be back.
Not all of them. Well, maybe the captains, but not everybody. You really think so?
I know so. A samurai never goes back on his word, no matter what happens. Nagakura and Shimada knew that when they volunteered for this mission. That sort of honor is a rare thing these days, but they have it. So does Saito. A samurai, no, a man, would never do anything to make a girl sad, and those men are true samurai. They have the skill, the honor, and the personal fortitude to make it back. You don't need to worry about them.
His words helped to calm my doubts. It was natural for me to worry, but I had forgotten that they were all talented, intelligent men, capable of forging their own destinies, not frightened boys sent off to war and subject to the whims of fate. Courage in the face of death was perhaps a true samurai's greatest asset, and they had courage aplenty. You're right. I believe in them. They'll come back safely. The words were only just out of my mouth when Yamazaki ran into the magistrate's office, his face drawn.
Is something wrong, Yamazaki?
The men they've got guarding their headquarters are all armed with rifles. We'd have gotten shot before we even got close. There was nothing we could do.
I see. That's not good.
His brows knit.
If most of their forces are riflemen, then they should have trouble aiming after the sun sets.
After the sun sets? Do you mean... He nodded solemnly. Fury time.
We're going to have to deploy the Fury Corps.
It does look like it's our only choice.
We need to tell Sanan and Toto. Yamazaki, please come with me.
Yes, sir.
Sometime later, the Fury Corps moved out under Sanen's command. They did have strength far beyond any normal human. Perhaps they would be able to turn the tables. So, why didn't I feel relieved? Something still felt wrong. This battle was unlike anything I'd experienced before, and my mind was still racing to catch up. I felt as if I was missing something important, but what? A gunshot sounded from the entrance. Our men would have no reason to fire, which means it had to be...
The main body of the Shinsengumi has gone off to fight somewhere else. The commander says now's our chance to attack the magistrate's office. Let's go!
Only moments after the soldier's voice reached me, Yamazaki ran into the room, his eyes wide.
Inoue, we have to do something. If we could get just one division to come back.
But who can we go fetch? We can't leave the magistrate's office unguarded.
I'll go. You can...
Inoue shook his head.
No, I can't let you go. I hate to admit it, but I can't hold them off on my own.
That's true, but...
Yamazaki frowned and began pacing back and forth. What just happened?
Ugh.
Once again, the deafening thunder of the cannon shook the magistrate's office. If the bombardment continued, we were surely done for. I'll do it. I'll deliver the message.
No, it's too dangerous.
I know I'm no good in a fight. My father had seen to it that I had some training in the martial arts, but there was no way I could hold my own against a Satsuma soldier. But I think I could probably make it to Gokunomiya's shrine or Ryuin temple without being discovered. And I was a demon after all. If I was wounded, it would heal quickly. In fact, I could probably take 1 or 2 bullets and not die. If one of you leaves, then we won't have any hope of mounting a defense when the Satsuma attack. But if I go, you'll still be at full strength. I won't be fighting anyway, even if I did stay here.
That's true. There's no one else we can afford to send anyway.
Inoue seemed torn, but it took him only moments to make up his mind. He wasn't happy about it, but we all knew there was no time to waste.
Very well. Go then.
Right.
Gokunomiya will be too dangerous, though. Head for Ryuin Temple and try to find Saito. I want you to explain the situation to him and ask him to return immediately. Got that?
Yes, sir.
We'll try and draw the attention of the Satsuma nearby. You should be able to slip out the back.
Right. Thank you.
If we can take this place, the Shinsenkumi's dead. Let's go. They won't get a single man in here. We'll see to that.
A gun's useless if you can't hit anything. Let's see how they handle some real fighting.
I said a silent prayer of thanks and protection for Inoue and Yamazaki and ran for the back door. I ran through the darkened forest, the stars and moon providing little light beneath the canopy. The night was thick and black. I could barely see, but fear would have to wait. I had no time. I could hear the cannon firing again and again in the darkness. There had to be fighting going on nearby, although I couldn't see it. I hoped fervently that everyone was safe, if I could just make it in time. Oh! I felt someone nearby and slowed to a halt. All around me were men wearing blue jackets of the Shinsengumi, grimacing in pain. It wasn't just a few of them. They'd gathered together in groups, spread out through this section of the forest, and at the center. Saito stood, sword in hand, his chest heaving. No, Saito! What was going on? I'd never before seen him so tired.
Ah, Amagiri. Intriguing. Your skill is impressive. You are only human, and yet you can hold your own against a demon.
Beyond Saito stood Amagiri, the demon. Oh! I stepped back, and a twig snapped beneath my foot. Slowly, deliberately, Amagiri's gaze turned toward me.
You.
Ah!
What are you doing here? Have you stayed with these men even as Kyoto turns into a battlefield?
I chose to ignore Amagiri and turned instead to Saito. Saito, there's trouble! The Satsuma are attacking the Fushimi Magistrate's office.
What?
You have to call out the attack on Ryuin Temple and rush back to the Magistrate's office right away. He inclined his head slightly in acknowledgement, then turned back to Amagiri, his eyes blue slits.
I see. No time to waste then.
The moment the last word was out of his mouth, he leapt forward with tremendous speed, and the sword flickered through the air, heading straight for Amagiri. At first, I didn't believe what I was seeing. Amagiri had caught the incoming blade with his bare hands and flung it aside. Then, in the same movement, he made to chop his hand into Saito's unguarded side.
No.
He deflected Amagiri's blow with his left arm and struck again with his sword. He dodged to the side, avoiding the sword thrust, but Saito took that split-second opening to launch another attack, driving Amagiri back. His steel shimmered in the night, leaping through the air and snaking its way through Amagiri's defenses to strike at his vitals. But even without a weapon, Amagiri blocked or deflected every blow, and Saito's attacks never seemed to land until... The very tip of Saito's sword slid across Amagiri's cheek, and a thin line of blood trickled down his face.
Intriguing. I never thought a human would be able to hold his own against me. You are a warrior of legendary skill, Saito. I doubt there are many demons who could fight toe-to-toe with you.
That's some serious acknowledgement.
You overestimate me. I am merely a samurai, and one of little note.
He paused for a moment to wipe beading sweat off his forehead.
Unfortunately, though your skill is impressive, your strength is still only human. I shall show you just how limited you are by your mortal shell.
What I saw then I could scarcely believe. On Amagiri's forehead, horns appeared, great white things, like what you might see in old books or paintings. His hair turned white, like that of a fury, and his eyes began to glow with a strange otherworldly light. When he spoke, his voice rumbled with a terrible power.
Never before have I shown this, my true self, to a human. But you, Saito, you are a human opponent I can respect. You deserve, nay, demand that I fight you with everything at my disposal.
Then he leapt towards Saito, like a bullet from a gun, closing the distance between them in the blink of an eye. He was far faster than he had been a moment before. Saito did his best to keep up with Amagiri's blows, but he seemed slower now. No, Saito wasn't slower. Amagiri was just too fast for him.
Is this really the most a human can manage?
He sounded almost disappointed. Saito cried out as Amagiri struck his left arm. Saito! He ground his teeth, and sweat dripped down his forehead. The pain he was feeling had to be incredible. Had Amagiri's blow broken his arm? But he ran toward Amagiri, his sword held high, and defiance burning in his eyes.
Reckless.
He batted Saito's attacks aside, one after another, as calmly as if he were waving away flies. Saito was in bad shape. He looked tired, and though he had managed to ignore the pain thus far, his arm still clearly hurt him. If he didn't gain the upper hand, and quickly, he'd lose to his own fatigue. We need to retreat. Saito, we have to retreat.
Retreat?
That word is not in his dictionary. He frowned. Although he was a man of few words, Saito took such things as missions and orders very seriously. To him, a retreat would be an incredible disgrace. But they're waiting for you to come back. I know you don't want to, but you have to retreat. If you keep fighting here, then what will happen to Inoue and Yamazaki? Those words seemed to hit the mark. Saito stopped and then slowly lowered his sword, his breathing heavy.
I understand. What is needed of me now is not to kill this man, but to protect the Shinsengumi.
That's right.
My apologies.
His voice was quiet.
How much do you know of the history of demons?
What?
The demons who live in this country were once of a single clan, but now they are split between the East and the West.
The Western clan is the Kazuma family, and the Eastern clan is mine, right? The Yukimura? Amagiri nodded.
This schism came to pass when the clans chose sides during the Battle of Sekigahara.
My favorite point in Japanese history?
The Yukimura family chose to help the armies of the East, and so gained favor with the Tokugawa, and were promised a peaceful life in exchange for their aid. The demons who fought beside the Western army, and allied themselves with the Toyotomi, however, were suddenly at risk of reprisal from the victors. Several of the opposition domains, such as Satsuma and Choshu, agreed to take us in, having heard stories of our power. Chikage Kazuma, the head of the Kazuma family, is attempting to use this most recent commotion in the human world to reunite the fractured clans. Why? His reasons are simple enough. He wants to return this country to the rule of demons.
That's not true. No.
And you share his intentions and desires?
Amagiri shook his head.
I see nothing wrong with remaining hidden from the world. I have no wish to leave my mark on history, and would much rather live in peace. The Satsuma domain commands my loyalty and skill only as repayment for debts incurred in the aftermath of Sekigahara, nothing more. In truth, I care little for Kodo and Kazuma's designs.
I nearly choked. What? What does my father have to do with any of this? Did he really want to create a world of demons just like Kazuma?
Is that all? I'm not interested in letting you buy any more time. If you have something to say, say it.
His eyes had narrowed to angry slits. He smiled.
Out of respect for your skill, I will let you leave.
With a small shudder, Amagiri's horns disappeared, and his hair changed back to its normal human color.
What? I don't approve of Kazuma's selfish machinations, and I pity the woman he intends to use to see his plans come to fruition.
I wasn't sure what to think of Amagiri. It didn't seem that his intention was to be kind to us, and yet he was allowing Saito and his men and myself to leave. At the very least, it seemed he had some sense of justice and honor.
Then, it seems this fight is over. Chizuru, were there any men among the injured unable to walk?
No, I don't think so.
Then, we make for the magistrate's office. Come with me.
Right. We had just turned to leave when he spoke one last time.
Kazuma is far stronger than I. You cannot possibly defeat him. A human will never be able to protect her from him. You should leave her.
And with that, he disappeared into the night like silent mist. Saito stood stock still for several moments, staring off toward where Amagiri had disappeared, his gaze fierce. Come on, Saito, we need to go. He didn't seem to hear me. Saito? Are you alright? Did you get hurt?
How can a man with no weapon?
Huh? His voice was so quiet I could barely hear him. After several more seconds of silence, he finally slowly raised his head.
It's nothing. We shall return to the magistrate's office. As you said, there's no time to waste.
Right. What had Saito been thinking about? Was he really alright? Pensive silence was nothing new for him, but I felt something different from him this time. Frustration, perhaps? Yep. Worried that he can't protect you. We arrived at the Fushimi magistrate's office the following morning, but we were already too late. It had been taken by the Satsuma. Right after I'd left, they set fire to the building, and the smell of burnt wood was still strong in the air. The men I'd left behind were missing, as were those who'd been fighting outside. The grounds themselves were crawling with Satsuma soldiers, so there was no way we could see what might have happened farther in. Saito decided to take us to Mount Hachiman. No sooner had we reached the base of the mountain, however, than we encountered an enemy patrol. Ah! Several gunshots echoed through the forest. I wasn't sure if they were actually an attack or just a warning.
It looks like we're surrounded.
Ah! The crack of gunshots sounded again, closer this time, and I jumped.
Calm down. If you make too much noise, they'll find us.
Right. I shrunk down as small as I possibly could and held my hands desperately over my mouth.
The sun will set soon. Once it does, their guns will be useless.
I nodded. I'm sorry. The gunfire had scared me, but if I made too much noise, then I could endanger Saito and the other Shinsengumi. Eventually, the sun did set, and the forest fell into darkness. The gunshot slowed, then stopped. Suddenly, it was very quiet. Saito appeared out from our hiding place, then spoke in a low whisper.
It'll be difficult for them to aim or load their guns now. It's time to move.
Yes, let's go. We stepped out of the thicket we'd been hiding in and headed off down the mountain. Ah! We hadn't been walking for long when the guns opened fire again, likely having heard our footsteps. This time, however, they seemed to be shooting anywhere and everywhere, not directly at us. Can they even see us? It seems Saito had been right about a loss of precision once night had fallen. They could see shadows moving and hear our footsteps, it seemed, but between the darkness and the intervening trees, actually targeting us was proving difficult. We might actually be able to join up with the rest of the men at this rate.
Yes.
Saito had only just spoken when I heard another voice echo out from the trees, and it made my blood run cold.
Who do you plan to join exactly? Twice as many insects are still insects.
It was him!
It's been a while. You still prefer the company of these weaklings?
You? Well, I like you both, but unfortunately you kinda let me down in your own route, Kazuma dear. Of all the times we could have encountered Kazuma, why now? I didn't realize I'd been frozen to the spot by fear until Saito stepped between Kazuma and myself.
Stay back.
As he spoke, Saito drew his sword. But...
I said stay back.
There was steel in his tone this time.
What, you think you can fight me? Oh, this is wonderful. I came out here because I didn't want such a valuable female demon to die pointlessly in battle. I never expected to be challenged to a fight by some idiotic human.
He chuckled again as he drew his own sword.
You'll have plenty of time to regret lifting your sword against a demon after I've sent you to hell.
I slipped behind a tree and peered out to watch, my heart in my throat. Amagiri had said that Kazuma was even more powerful than he was, and Saito had been clearly outmatched by Amagiri. Oh god, that can't be good at all. But unfortunately, I have to stop there, and I hate doing cliffhangers, but this scene is probably going to go on for quite some time, and I don't have time to read the rest of it. And plus, it's just one of those nights, and I'm having a really difficult time reading for some reason. My sinuses are kind of stuffy, and I just keep screwing up. And it's raining outside, and there are crickets, so I have a lot of things going against me for recording tonight. So I have to stop here for now. Please forgive me. Oh god, I hope this isn't where Saito is going to have to take the water of life or something. If he's going to get, nearly fatally injured here and have to take it. Well, we'll see you in the next video. Hope to see you there or in some of my other videos. And I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye-bye, everybody.